Hello! Bit of a warning just right now. This is probably going to be a bit of a ranty video because this set of chapters really solidifies for me why I don't really like the people who are part of the Order of the Phoenix. So that's just a warning for you today. 2 chapters, and that would be number 12, Grimwald Place, and the Order of the Phoenix. So the titular chapter. To start off, of course, Grimwald Place, Grimold Place. And isn't it grim? Seriously, a lot of people just... Okay. So we finally have Harry just snap and scream a bunch in this chapter. And interestingly enough, the other kids sort of take it because they know they sort of screwed up on that one. And they share what they can. But it's not a whole lot. Harry also points out one of the major things that bothers him about his position this summer and why he's really angry specifically at Ron and Hermione, which is the fact that they've been together with their other friends for the summer. It's not just the lack of information, but for Harry, it's literally this decision of picking everybody else before Harry. He is literally like that kid that's standing there while both teams are going, no, you take him, no, you take him, no, I don't want him. Like, that's what it feels like to him. And I mean, Ron and Hermione are a little bit sort of like, they're a little stuck up about it because they share that look that says they knew this would be exactly how he responded. And that just pisses them off more. Because for them, it's okay. For him, it's, you knew I would be so angry and you still did it. You still did this. At least with the other younger Weasley kids, they don't try and deny it at all. And they don't say, you have the right to be angry. Like, they come in just sort of like, thought I heard your voice. Harry can't respond to that because they're saying, like, anger, and they're not saying, oh, you have the right to be angry, or you don't have the right to be angry. They're just saying, you're angry. And that's it. And from there, they can actually have a relatively simple conversation. And that's sort of the interesting thing is, because for me, this happens too, where if you constantly point out that I'm upset, I will get more upset. It won't fix anything. If you tell me to calm down, that's not going to frickin' help. That's going to make me more upset, and I'm going to want to tear your face off. Which is sort of the trap that Ron and Hermione are falling into. And not anybody else. And it's sort of interesting because this is one of the key points where we've actually seen Harry get to the shouting point. Usually that is Ron and Hermione at each other. It is very rarely that we've actually seen Harry get to this yelling. He's had to put up with them, and very intelligently he doesn't tend to point out that they're angry and that they should or shouldn't be. He just it takes them that they are angry at face value, and he keeps going. But these 2 kids are so used to being angry, they're not used to being the ones dealing with it. Which is what Harry suddenly has to do. And again, Harry coming out on top. Skip to the end of the Order of the Phoenix chapter, where Ron says, oh, Harry will just tell me and Hermione anyways. Right, Harry? And I'm going, So, at this point in time, you have proven that you will take the adults' orders and keep your friend in the dark. You know, the friend who is suffering PTSD, having seen somebody that he sort of likes been murdered. Why should you expect this kid to remain open with you when you have proven that you will not do the same to him? Why should he tell Ron and Hermione anything? And to pull that card right there in front of everybody is complete BS. Fred and George don't pull that card. Ginny doesn't pull that card. Because they recognize that Harry was pissed off and had a right to be. And that he doesn't owe any of them shit. But Ron and Hermione are making the assumption that he does still owe them something because they are friends, despite the fact that spent half the book last time with Ron not talking to Harry because he didn't communicate properly. Hermione at least wisely keeps her mouth shut about this one. But Ron, I'm like, shut up, Ron. You have the emotional range of a teaspoon right now. And no, at this point in time, you haven't earned shit from Harry. That said, I put the adults more at fault in all of this one than I put any of the kids. That includes Fred and George, despite the fact that they are of age. Because it is the adults who are exerting their control over these kids and other adults, as we've seen, and Dumbledore at this point in time has proven that he's willing to scare somebody into submission, which is what we saw happen with poor Petunia, to get his way. So no, I'm not happy with any of the Order of the Phoenix right now, except maybe some of the ministry workers, because I do recognize that if they do too much that they are going to lose their jobs. And that is an honest concern, especially when keeping those jobs they're actually assisting with the Order of the Phoenix and helping with this war. But Molly Weasley needs to, one, step off real quick. Sirius Black needs to step off real quick. Remus Lupin needs to step off real quick. Just, I get it. You guys are the adults. I get it. Okay, if we're gonna have a fight over Harry Potter, how about we actually have a fight over Harry Potter and not make this totally about yourselves? This is the key thing about this chapter that frustrates me so much, is we actually see this argument between Molly and Sirius for the most part. We have some sort of satellite people, Arthur, Remus, Medundus, all of these adults, and of course Dumbledore being the figurehead here that I'm going to have to address shortly. But let's start with the people we actually see in this chapter, which is to say that this argument is not actually about Harry. This argument is about everybody else's choices and how those choices have resulted in the situation they're now in. It's about Molly's choices with her children. It is about Sirius' choices to go after Peter. It is about their parenting choices in regards to Harry Potter without actually being about Harry Potter, despite the fact that, frankly, neither of them really have a right here. Because both of them are in fact right about not being his parents. Neither of them have been there in the moments that Harry seriously needs some help. I mean, Harry at least feels some kinship with Sirius about being stuck in this place that he hates. Yeah, Sirius, it'd be real nice if you addressed the fact that Harry has seen somebody die. Molly? Arthur? Remus? Tonks? Anybody? Is anybody going to try and talk to this poor kid about that? No? Cool, okay, we're just gonna argue about who has the better right to parent this child, despite the fact that no one's, you know, stepping up and actually doing it. Because, you know, Dumbledore... I swear to God, if I hear Dumbledore used as an excuse one more time, because we are actually very directly getting a comparison between Dumbledore and Voldemort. And that is to say that they are the leaders, they are the big people that the other leader fears, and that their followers would do anything at face value despite, you know, the moral question about this entire thing. And that's the thing. It is a big philosophical question that has been a philosophic question for centuries. And that is, how morally culpable are you in simply following the orders of your superior? If you know that the order is going to cause harm, are you morally culpable to disobey that order or to follow it? Should any of these people, in knowing that what they have been told could be potentially extremely destructive to this child, because they insist on calling him a child, are any of them morally culpable in, you know, actually working with this kid? The thing is, let's take the argument at their standards. He is a child. There are some things he can't know about right now. Cool. Okay, first order of business, then protecting this child. Well, we've got people following him around, including this questionable, you know, criminal. Okay, yeah, he's useful in the order. Cool. Maybe don't assign him to protection detail. Maybe don't assign him to that really terrifying 7 Harry chapter that we're gonna see in Deathly Hallows that's gonna get a good man killed. Maybe use the man for his strengths and don't expect him to be what you are expecting everybody else to be, because he's obviously not. How about protecting the kid from, you know, the neglected situation that he's in? Seriously, is anyone addressing these things? The kid's been in a death situation every year at school. I think at this point in time, we have to take a step back from Dumbledore and do what's right. And that's the interesting thing, is Dumbledore is always going to have this argument about him for the greater good. And that wording, again, it has been a major philosophical question. Do you do what's right for the greatest number of people, even if that means you have to sacrifice a small number of people? It is the question of 10 men on a railway about to get hit by a train. You could set the train onto a different track that will hit one child. What do? It is this situation. And despite the fact that it is this situation, nobody is addressing it as such. I think Harry Potter would very much appreciate it if they'd be willing to at least own up that they are making this decision, and at least give him the information he needs to be able to fight to protect himself. Because the thing is, this whole not giving information to him, he's gonna turn around and start not giving them information back. That's gonna be the loss of Sirius Black right there. That's going to be their invasion of the Ministry. Because no one's talking to him. And he could save Arthur Weasley's life, and no one's talking to him. He could save his cousin from Dementors, and no one's talking to him. He could save Sirius from getting executed by Dementors, and still, oddly enough, Sirius... We're not going to tell him everything, but he deserves to know something. That's not winning points with me. That's saying you're still holding back the most crucial information and trying to appease this kid with tiny bits of information. Which, at first, is going to be enough for this kid, but it's not going to be. By the end of this, we're going to be in a war, because no one's talking to this kid, because the adults have it right, and Dumbledore has it right, and no one's addressing the fact that we are at a railway situation, and they are choosing the greater good. And if that means that Harry has to be sacrificed, which is exactly what's going to have to happen, no one's admitting it. And no one's at least giving Harry the possibility of fighting for his own life. And that hurts me. Unfortunately, this situation isn't going to get any better, because we're at Grimwald Place for a few more chapters. And, you know, a trial that we have to address. Yay. Everyone's railroading this poor kid, and no one's willing to admit it. I'm gonna keep reading, and I hope you do too. See you next time.